Now, Israel's parliament has given the initial approval to two bills that would extend the Israeli law to the occupied West Bank, a move widely seen as a step towards the annexation of the territory that the Palestinians seek for a future state.
The following are the results of the vote: 25 in favor, 24 against. I determine that the bill by Representative Avi Maoz was approved in the preliminary reading and will be discussed in the Foreign Affairs and Security Committee in order to prepare it for the first reading.
The first of the four votes that was needed to enact the bills came as the American Vice President J.D. Vance visited the state of Israel just weeks after Donald Trump declared that he would block any move by Israel to annex the West Bank. A second bill introduced by an opposition party in proposing the annexation of the Male Adumim settlement was approved by a vote of 31-9. The American Secretary of State Marco Rubio has cautioned that Israel's plan to advance bills applying sovereignty in the West Bank risks undermining the Gaza ceasefire deal.
That's a vote in there. Yeah, that's a vote in the Knesset, but obviously I think the president's made clear that that's not something we'd be supportive of right now, and we think there's potential even threatening to the peace deal. So they're a democracy, they're going to have their votes, people are going to take these positions, but at this time it's something that we think it might be counterproductive.
Now, Qatar has strongly condemned the Israeli Knesset's approval of the two laws seeking to impose Israeli sovereignty over the occupied West Bank and a settlement. Saudi Arabia has also condemned the Knesset's approval of the laws, describing them as violations, and has reaffirmed its backing for a Palestinian state within the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. The Jordanian Foreign Ministry has called this move a flagrant violation of international law and a blow to this two-state solution. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party did not back the West Bank measure, which was introduced by the lawmakers outside of his governing coalition. The bill narrowly passed its preliminary vote with a margin of 25-24 in the 120-member parliament. And several lawmakers from Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition, including members of the Jewish Power Party and the religious Zionism faction, voted in favor of the bill. And the measure still faces a lengthy legislative process before it can become a law. The coalition members have long urged the State of Israel to formally annex parts of the West Bank, citing the territory's biblical and historical significance to the Jewish people. In 2024, the United Nations highest court had ruled that Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territories, including the West Bank and the settlements that are being built there, are illegal, and it has called for their eviction as soon as possible. Israel maintains that the territories that it seized during the 1967 war are not legally occupied, arguing that they are disputed lands. However, the United Nations and the vast majority of the international community considers the West Bank and the Gaza Strip to be occupied Palestinian territories. The United Arab Emirates, the most prominent Arab nation to normalize relations with Israel under the Abraham Accords brokered by Donald Trump during his first term, warned last month that any move to annex the West Bank would be a red line for the Gulf state. In a related development, the Israeli settlers attacked Palestinian olive harvesters and activists in the occupied West Bank this week, injuring at least one woman very seriously. Now, the assault filmed in Turmos Aya has come amidst growing concerns over the escalating settler violence with the olive harvest season underway. The United Nations and human rights groups are warning of rising risk for the Palestinian farmers.
يا رجل الصياد اخر دار البيضه، شاف اخر دار البيضه من نازل وين